Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
If you've ever thought, I'll get round to cleaning that up later, then imagine the job that scientists are facing. Space debris is at crisis point, and there's so much of it floating around the Earth that future missions could be under threat. So, with a new era of satellite technology ready to be launched, what is the solution? Our science correspondent Rebecca Morell has been looking at how to give the Earth's orbit a spring clean.
It's incredible to think that we've been spacebound since the late 1950s.
Liftoff.
We've achieved amazing advances, made countless scientific discoveries, and made the world more connected than ever before. But for every advance, we've left something behind. Waste. So if we want to keep on blasting off into orbit, it's time to take out the trash. The space around our planet is so full of rubbish, orbiting at menacingly high speeds. It's seen as a threat to future missions. Dr. Hugh Lewis is a waste watcher.
Space debris is made up of lots of things, but any space mission, any spacecraft can ultimately become space junk. Many people would say that low Earth orbit has already exceeded the kind of capacity that it has for space junk, and that we'll see into the future lots of collisions. I think the evidence for that is a bit uncertain, but it's nonetheless something that we really need to take a lot of care about.
But low Earth orbit is about to get even more crowded. This is Clyde Space in Glasgow, one of several companies spearheading a new satellite revolution, where size matters. This little thing is the size that we're talking about. It's 10 centimetres cubed, and it's transforming the space industry. They're called CubeSats. They're not only designed to be small, but plentiful. Cost-effective missions will see hundreds of them in orbit, working together in vast constellations and bringing great benefits.
CubeSats are going to help change our understanding of the planet, so we can take an image of the Earth every day, but also data from like moisture content of the atmosphere. We'll be looking at the temperature of the oceans in a lot more detail. This all gives a much better understanding of actually what's happening on Earth on a daily basis.
But there are concerns about CubeSats becoming the junk of the future. And with so many joining the market, from schools to the military, it will be tricky to ensure that everyone's following the rules. International space guidelines require that satellites should de-orbit themselves after 25 years.
We build spacecraft, and we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot by making space unusable. Most CubeSats are launched into very low orbits, and they have an orbital life of about 3 to 5 years, which means at their end of mission, they're already deorbited. There are other spacecraft up there that are quite large, that are not functional, that could potentially cause a lot of damage if they were to collide with another object.
We've been invading space for more than half a century. Now, though, the brightest minds are trying to work out how we can clean up our act. But who's going to be the first big player in this special mission? And who's going to be willing to stump up enough change? Let's first get the score on how bad our galactic litter bugging has been. Scientists are currently tracking more than 22,000 pieces of space junk, more than 10 centimetres wide. That's 7,000 tonnes of trash to take out. But blowing the stuff up would just create a bigger mess. Instead, would-be cosmic cleaners need to bring pieces out of orbit to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. But first, you've got to catch them. Otherwise, game over. At the University of Surrey, scientists are getting ready for the world's most ambitious refuse collection.
So the Remove Debris mission is an exciting mission that we're launching next year. It's going to be one of the world's first missions to actually test debris removal technologies.
It's still under construction. Fortunately, though, there are animations. This is what their spacecraft will look like. First, it will jettison some junk made especially for this mission. Then, it will fire a net to see how easy it is to snag a satellite in orbit. The second experiment involves setting up a target to test the accuracy of firing a harpoon in the weightless conditions of space. Last up, to test future deorbiting tech, and to clean up after itself, it will deploy a sail, designed to upset its orbit and drag it down for a fiery finish. The mission will cost €15 million, and the idea is that each future mission would target one key piece of space junk. So is it worth it?
Well, the thing is, I like to think of space junk a bit like global warming. It's a problem that no one really wants to pay for, but it's something that's necessary. If you have a $100 million satellite that gets wiped out by a piece of junk, then you start thinking, well, maybe I should have done some of these missions to actually get rid of these pieces because it would have been cheaper to begin with.
There's another consideration, a diplomatic one.
There are legal issues with capturing space junk. You can't just go up there and grab anybody's junk. For example, a lot of the items that are worthwhile getting rid of are Russian rocket casings. If we just went up there and try and grab those, that would effectively be stealing them. It would be theft or interfering with their property.
It's not only about reducing hazards for future missions, but preventing collisions that may themselves generate more junk. Look at the damage that can be caused by the millions of pieces smaller than 10 centimetres. British astronaut Tim Peake took this photo while on board the International Space Station, a chip in a window thought to be caused by an object a few thousand times smaller than a millimetre. The fear is that in a few generations, low Earth orbit could become inoperable.
Navigation, Earth observation, weather forecasting, communications, all those things that we take for granted would be gone.
There's only been one or two collisions between objects in space so far, and there is a lot of objects up there in space. It's pretty big, but it's something we need to be mindful of, and I think we should be doing something about it now rather than waiting for there to be a problem.
But efforts to make the world think collectively about our environment can be particularly challenging, even more so when that environment is hundreds of kilometres above the Earth. We may not be able to take out space's trash quite as literally as we'd like. But with a new era in satellite technology looming, experts think it's high time for a deep space clean. However, with so many decades of waste that's out of this world, we won't be able to get the lid on all of it.
Rebecca Morrell.